Stephen, I suppose a lot of positives to get over the line in a really crunched last 10 minutes last week. You said after the game that it was significant. What significance is there to actually nailing that last 10 minutes and winning a close one?
Yeah, I think if you look at the season, we've lost a number of those games in the last 20 minutes. So to turn it around and win one in the last 10 is really positive. And you know, we've got a lot of young players that were out there on the field at the end of the game, and they'll learn a lot from being in that environment, you know, that moment where we sort of hung on and created opportunities to score a try there at the end.
From a player's perspective, what do you think the difference was in that last 20 compared to against the Tars and Force and Crusaders?
Oh, I don't know. I think you look at the different moments in the game, really, and we took them. I thought, you know, we played in the right parts of the field in that last 20. There was a couple of key kicks there that got us right down the right end of the field, and then we created a bit of pressure and obviously scored the tries there and you know, got that penalty at the end. So when you're in the right part of the field, you get opportunities and you probably put a bit more pressure on the opposition. So that's probably a big learning.
A couple of younger guys coming in on the bench again. For this week's clash, is it, I guess, a sign of the times that you guys were able to get over the line with, I think it was 8 guys under 21 and more young guys are coming in, I guess, preparing for next year?
Yeah, well, I think that's probably always been the plan with Stiles and the coaches have had for, you know, the young players. There's some real quality coming through in the young team, and we've seen the 20s and how well they've done the last 2 years. So, you know, it's only natural now that those players will start to come into the Reds and be permanent players in that team. So, yeah, you're right, Reece and Jaden will come in on the bench for their first game this weekend, which is exciting for them. So we want to make sure it's memorable for them.
Reece in particular seems to really, in games I've watched for the 20s, he's really physical, gets out and really likes to whack blokes. What have you seen from him around on the training paddock?
Yeah, exactly that. I think he's very physical. He's a good athlete. He's very fit. He played really well for the 20s. I think he captained the under 20s and you know, along with Liam Wright with the Queensland 20s, that they did the leadership roles there. So he brings a lot to the team, and I think he's pretty excited to get his chance.
Stephen, this match, you look at some of the guys who stepped up last week, like Hamish and Parisi. What do you like about them that you've seen a bit more of them?
I think you can see there's a level of professionalism among those young players that's really positive and is going to be really good for the team going forward. And there's a number of those players now who've been in that under-20s environment, and really you can see they've developed some good habits around the way they want to play and prepare, and I think they're bringing that through to the team now. So I also thought the young front rowers that came on did really well. The scrum was really solid in that last 10 minutes, which is often overlooked, but if your scrum is shaky in that last 10, it can really cost you the game. So those players that came on did a great job in that area.
Some pretty light, sunny conditions you're heading into in New Zealand. You're looking forward to a bit of sunbaking in Queenstown at Dunedin?
Yeah, well, look, I think the team manager told us last night that it could be anything. The roads could be frozen and all that sort of stuff, which you'd probably expect. I think it's the ski season over there, so you know, you'd hope there's a bit of snow around, but you know, we'll be fine once we get to Dunedin. Obviously the game's indoors, and they've got a roof on it for a reason over there, so it's great to be able to play indoors in weather like that.
Expecting them to be a touch sort of off where they were when they broke the Lions series. Like, it's obviously their first game back, and they haven't played against the Lions, but they haven't played outside of that for 3 or 4 weeks. Do you think there'll be a bit of rust there?
Oh, look, I don't think we can rely on anything like that. I think they're a quality team. They've shown that all year. They work really hard as a team, and they've got a really clear way they want to play. Obviously, at home, they know the conditions every week are going to be perfect, so they tailor their game to that, and I think they'll work really hard. So one of our big things this week is to just make sure our work rate and our work ethic is very good.
Not being in a New Zealand team this year, like, is it a realistic goal to be that first team that beats the New Zealand side?
Yeah, well, you have to take that mindset over there. You know, it's our last game of the year, so you know, it is a challenge to make sure everyone's motivated and you know, for this week and not looking beyond the game, and that's something we've really stressed this week. We want to be proud of the way we finished the season. We spoke about that last week, and this is a key part of that going over there. I think if you look at our games against the New Zealand teams this year, we've done some good stuff. We haven't quite played well enough for 80 minutes. But there's some positive stuff there, and we need to take that mindset over there to go and play well.
No, yeah, listen, Caleb Timu starting really gives us good balance against the Highlanders in the back row. You know, we went into the Brumbies game with Simo in the back row because we wanted that extra tall to really attack their line out and set piece. And ultimately we got some reward out of that at the end of the game. Whereas against the Highlanders, you know, they obviously play a very quick game, you know, a lot of kicking. And I just felt Caleb coming in and starting really gives us some good ball carry, and his offload is exceptional. So looking forward to seeing him grow as a starting player this weekend.
Simo was obviously great on the weekend. I thought Kane Douglas was pretty solid in his start as well. What was the thinking in front, behind bringing Simo in ahead of him?
I thought Simo had a more balanced game across all facets of the game. You know, Kane did some really good things, had some good ball carries. Probably could have been stronger over the ball at the breakdown at times, but it was good to see Kane playing better football again. You know, also Simo played well, earned his spot, and you know, last game for the Reds probably deserves to be starting as well.
Samu out, just not right.
Yeah, it was a shame. Samu picked up a fresh minor injury at the start of the week, which ruled him out, which was disappointing because you know the way he's played against the Highlanders over the last few years would have given us some really good punch in the midfield. But the pleasing thing is that Campbell Magnay played nearly the whole game last week and played very well, so he gets another chance to show us what he can do before he sunsets over to the Japanese country.
So did Samu, was it a reoccurrence of the same injury or was it different?
No, different, just a minor pec strain. So just an awkward injury, but it's not a long-term thing for him.
So just like a couple of weeks?
Yeah, a couple of weeks, and listen, it's that period of time now where you've got no rugby in terms of Super Rugby, and then the international season doesn't start, I think, for another 7 weeks. So he'll be right for that.
Just the boys on the bench, so obviously race captain the Australian 20s, and Squeak was saying he's quite a physical, abrasive type guy. Is that what you're looking to get from him off the bench?
Yeah, you play New Zealand sides, you got to play with physicality, and we're starting with Caleb for that very reason, and then to bring Reece on off the bench to continue probably the work that Caleb's done. Hopefully throughout the first part of the game will be important. Reece is a player that I've got a lot of time for. You don't see a young 19-year-old football with as much leadership qualities that he's got. He's also, even though he's a very talented footballer, suffered a bit of adversity early in his career with injuries. He's had shoulder recons, did his ACL last year, so he's exceptionally hungry for success. And to see his face, and then to see him walking around interacting with the players after we told him he was going to be included on the bench was one of the joys of coaching, I reckon. To the pure enjoyment and excitement and hunger that he's got is going to set him up to be a very good footballer.
You had those young guys, Hamish and Izzy, sort of stepping up in the last 10 last week. That was impressive for you to see those guys.
Yeah, really impressive. And when we talk about Hamish because he scored that try, and Izzy because he had that fantastic run to set up the penalty, but it was probably the work that a few others did in that period of time that I was as pleased with. Marcus Van Zaddy had been off for a long period. He had a broken hand, and he pleaded with me to be included in the match day 23, and then to see him reward you with the way he scrummaged and carried the ball in that last 10 minutes was absolute gold. The work Adam Korshik did to create that turnover. You want players that are absolutely desperate and hungry to succeed, and if you watch the tape and you just see the determination of Korshik from that defensive line out to fight his way through the maul, the determination he had to get the ball and create the turnover was exactly what we need to really ooze through this whole group moving forward into 2018.
Jaden Amanu, on the bench as well. From what I've seen of him at Queensland 20s, when he gets the ball from the back, he's really quick and able to identify gaps and really shoot through. Is that sort of his best asset?
Yeah, definitely. You know, he's not a tall player, but the way he runs that ball back and the speed he's got, I think is really exciting. His talk in the backfield defence is exceptional as well, sort of something you don't pick up unless you're out in the middle of the field. He communicates really well with your fullback in terms of just managing, you know, the pendulum in the back three, which is crucial. And listen, he's played really well for Souths over the last couple of weeks. You know, I'm a big believer that club rugby is important, and the way the guys go back and play in club rugby is as important. And I've seen him play live over the last few weeks, and his performances have warranted a selection in the 23.
Is that likely that he covers wing or fullback more likely, or whatever?
Listen, he'll probably be more of a wing cover for us initially. You know, if you pick up a couple of injuries, he could play fullback for us. But you know, our first substitution would be to put Hamish to fullback like we did on the weekend.